Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are celebrating International Education Week, and on behalf of the Education USA team in the West Bank and Gaza and our partners at the U.S. Embassy's Palestinian Affairs Unit, thank you again for joining us. And on behalf of everyone at our offices, welcome. Today's session will focus on applying for the student visa. And we have a special guest from the Consular Services Office at the U.S. Embassy. And I would like to share with you before we ask our guest to present today information about Education USA. For those of you who have not joined us in previous sessions related to studying in the U.S. Education USA is the U.S. Department of State network of over 430 centers in over 175 countries and territories worldwide. We promote higher education around the world by offering free, accurate, and current information about educational institutions in the United States. And for our Education USA centers, we have a center at Ahmed East, Ramallah for the West Bank, and we also have an Education USA center in Gaza, and our advisor in Gaza, Akram Baghdadi, and the team in the West Bank, Marwa and I, we offer group information sessions, individual consultations. We host USR education representatives to visit the country and to meet with you individually and share their information about their respective institutions. However, due to the pandemic, many of these in-person events were put on hold, and we hope to resume many of these sessions in the near future. However, since March 2020, most of our activities have been virtual, as we are with you today, but we do hope to begin with in-person sessions in the near future. In terms of today's session, as we stated earlier, we'll be focusing on applying for your student visa. That's step number 4 of your 5 steps to U.S. study. Many of our events and activities and our guidance that we offer potential applicants to the U.S. focuses on your 5 steps to U.S. study. And these steps are researching your options. Of course, if you're not aware, we have over 4,000 U.S. accredited institutions in the U.S. And so you have an array of choices to consider and research depending on what you're interested in, the type of campus life you are looking forward to spending the next several years of your life at. And of course, the second step is financing your studies. There's lots of information about exploring options and checking out the financial opportunities available through the U.S. Institutions. And of course, on this same website, which is educationusa.state.gov, it also offers information from U.S. universities and colleges themselves. They will, on a regular basis, upload their information about financing your education and the various financial aid and scholarship opportunities available. And so we do encourage anyone who's interested in learning about the U.S. higher education system and studying in the U.S. And the application process to check out this website that will provide you with an array of information about the various requirements needed. And in talking about requirements, step number 3 is completing your application. Once you've done your research and have decided upon which universities you would like to apply to, you begin your preparation for gathering your documents and information required to send to the universities. And step number 4 is applying for a visa, which we'll have the opportunity to hear from our guest speaker, Tina, about that step. And step number 5 is preparing to depart. And so we do encourage you to check our website, educationusa.state.gov, which will provide you with resources, up-to-date information about studying in the U.S., whether it's study opportunities, academic programs, or exchange programs, and even non-academic programs are also available on this website. And so we do encourage you to take advantage of this website, and of course, be sure to contact us. We'll be providing you with our contact information a bit later on. Marwa will share that information with you, so that if you do have any questions, and if you do like to connect with us directly, whether it's for the West Bank Advising Center or Gaza Advising Center, our advising contact information will be available to you shortly. Marwa?
Thank you so much, Sana. So as Sana have mentioned, you can take advantage of the different services we offer, of the different things, material, websites, and resources that we share on our website and also on social media platforms. Just like today's session, we usually have live interactive sessions on different topics related to the application process and the U.S. higher education system, with university representatives, or with alumni, or with students currently studying in the US. And we usually share recorded webinars and videos of our students, just to share tips and recommendations to those who are currently working on their application folder. And so you can find so much on different on different social media platforms, which you can see on the next screen. You can see that you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Education USA West Bank. You can also contact us via email at ramallah@educationusa.org. And for those of you who are joining us from Gaza, you can definitely connect with our advising center in Gaza, and you can email them at gaza@educationusa.org. Also, for other opportunities, you can follow the Amid East Facebook page, Amid East West Bank, and Amid East Gaza, and also the US Palestinian Affairs Unit for more information about cultural and educational programs available to Palestinians. And you can see their Facebook and Instagram page as well, US Palestinian Affairs Unit. And for today's presentation, our special guest speaker is Tina. Tina, she has served as an American Citizen Services and Visa Officer in Jerusalem and Kuwait as well. She is from California, and she holds a BA in Political Science from Point Loma, Nazarene University, San Diego. She has taken, several community college courses in California and Virginia as well, and she has studied abroad and lived with a host family in Amman for a semester. Of course, she appreciates, the community college education and study abroad experiences. And we're so lucky to have her today to present to you about the student visa application process. And now I will hand it over to you, Tina. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Shukran, Marwa. Thank you so much. Good to be with all of you today. Kicking off the presentation, I'm from our Bureau of Consular Affairs. It's part of the US State Department. I have done both sides, so we do American Citizen Services, but also visas for people who aren't American to come to the US for a good reason, like studying today, which is what we're going to talk about. So we can go to the next slide here. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to talk about the process to apply for visas, some common questions that come up, and then how you can contact us. And at the end, we will welcome your questions. And at the start, we'd like to remind everyone we can't address any specific cases. You can contact us offline about that, but today's presentation, we can't get into any issue that you might have had or any family member had. So just keep that in mind today. Thanks. Next slide. So there's different types of letters out there. We've got F, J, and M that we're going to focus on today for the different types of visas. You're going to have the F visa for students in academic or language program, whereas J is for an exchange visitor. That can even also be for a medical doctor doing a medical program temporarily in the States. It could be for a graduate program. It's a special program type of thing. And then M, it can be for other things, but I've seen it the most for flight school. So vocational, like a specific trade type of study. That's what an M visa is for. So probably most everyone here is going to be interested in F visa, but this is just so you understand the different types of student visas that are out there. Next slide. Okay, so how do you go about applying for a student visa after you're accepted into a program? There's some important documents that your designated school official from the university or college or school is going to provide to you. So they will provide you this I-20 form for F or M, or it's called DS 2019 for the J visas. And you will need to bring that to your appointment. Then next, you're going to need to make the appointment. You would do that online, and you would come in to speak with me and my colleagues in Jerusalem for an interview. And then after that, you need to pay before you come in for the interview. So there's two fees. There's the visa fee. That's after you fill out the DS-160 form for the visa. And then there's also the CVIS fee. It's Student and Exchange Visitor Information Service. It's a separate fee. Sometimes many students don't understand that they need to pay two fees. This is a system that the U.S. has to help keep track of student and exchange visitors in the U.S. So there's the visa appointment fee and then also this CVIS or SAVIS fee. And then you would come in and have an interview with one of us when you have all of these items ready. Just a couple things to note. For F and M visas, you can obtain a visa for up to 120 days before the report date on your I-20. Not any further back than that. So you need to be getting it within that 4-month window. So yeah, you want to think about apply as early as you can, but keep that time frame in mind. And then for the exchange visitors, the J's, you can get a visa as soon as you get your DS 2019. But make sure, as we constantly update things on our websites and our social media, so keep looking at our web pages to make sure you have the most up-to-date information. This can all sound very confusing, but it's really your contact person at the school that's going to be your best source of information, because they're doing this for many other international students. So they'll be able to give you the best information. And also another thing to remember, many times we see people bringing a lot of documents that we didn't ask for. Don't worry about that. Just focus on the required documents, and then we just want to chat with you. Don't bring a lot of extra things and briefcases or whatever. You can't bring that in anyway. Just bring the required documents and relax and come and speak to us at your appointment. Okay, next one. Yes, here's an example of the things we will chat about, and just be aware it's going to be very quick. You might not feel like it was long enough, but we do so many in these interviews, and we have a lot of training, so we're very familiar with the process. But yes, just focus on answering only the questions we're asking. We're going to ask potentially, what did you study before? If it's a graduate program, why do you want to pursue this graduate program? Just to see that you understand the program, you know about it, how long it will take, what is your focus, is it an ongoing field of research you're continuing in? Why did you choose this university or this college? If you just don't really have a good answer for that, that's not good. We want to know and hear about why you're passionate about this school and this program of study, what you want to do with it after you get your degree or you finish the program, how you plan to apply it to your professional life, and very important, how you're going to pay, how you will fund the program, whether it's through scholarships, through grants, through family, going to pay your own funds potentially. We just need to understand the whole story and we're looking at that I-20 form that will have a annual cost for the program, and that's the dollar figure that we're going to need to see covered by your scholarships, by your funds, your family's funds, things like this. That we're not looking at the entire cost, but we're just looking at that annual cost, and it needs to make sense to us. And if you don't have sufficient answers for these types of questions, we might ask for more information, or we might just say, you know, it's not going to work out today, but you can apply again in the future. And let's see here. We know that there's a lot of information out there about how to get a visa, but please just focus on official sources of information and just be direct and honest with us when you're answering these questions for us. But next slide, please. Okay, again, these are things that you don't want to have any issues when you come in to see us, because we know it's a lot and very involved process, so we don't want you to have any delays in making it to to start your program. So again, make sure you get the required documents from your school that they'll provide, that I-20 or DS-2019. You have a valid passport. It needs to be valid for more than 6 months. You don't want it to be about to expire. You don't want it to be damaged. You don't want to have coffee stain on it, or like torn pages or anything like that. And if you changed your name, get a new passport in that new name to make sure all the information matches up in your passport. Again, no, we don't want any unnecessary delays for you. A photo that doesn't have glasses, a photo with a white background that's the correct size. You've paid all your fees, including that visa fee and the SEVIS fee, and you bring the confirmation page showing that you filled out your application online. Depending on your citizenship, you might have an additional fee to pay. So even though you already paid, I believe Jordanian citizenship for some types of visas might require an additional fee after we approve you. So please bring a type of payment with you, just in case you have one of these additional reciprocity fees. Again, 6 months validity, as I mentioned. Yes, these are things that you're going to want to remember to bring so you don't have any unnecessary delays in your process. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, so reasons for refusal: if the story doesn't make any sense, if items are missing, if a DS-2019 is missing and that's the only issue, then you would fall into the second item here where it says 221G, missing a document. Everything else is great, I just need the document, or then you would fall into that category. The first one here, 214B, is what I mentioned. You know, maybe the story doesn't make sense right now. It doesn't really seem logical to us. So we might say, look, you can always apply again. This is not anything against you. It's very common. It's not something to be concerned about. We just need to use that type of refusal when we don't believe that it's the right reason to be going to the U.S. Given everything else in your situation. It doesn't make sense to us. So that's the most common, those top two there. And then the other ones, the other ineligibilities it's referencing there go into things like criminal or other types of reasons why people are not allowed to go to the U.S. So you will get a piece of paper explaining under what code of the law, that's what all these numbers and letters are. We are required to say what part of the law we applied when we gave you the refusal. And it's an important point here. We respect your privacy. Your personal visa information, your personal data is only for you to see. And then if people are under 18, for their parents to see as well. But nobody else is entitled to hear or know any information about your visa interview. So friends, advisors, anyone that might have helped you with your application, those people are not allowed to know anything about why you were refused according to our law. So no one except for you can ask about your own information and your own case. And yeah, as mentioned with the middle one there, 221G, don't take that and be discouraged, because it might mean that a document was missing. It might mean that we need you to fill out an additional form or two. It's not it's not really saying no for this case. It's basically saying it's pending. So if you get one of those, don't go and apply again. Like, then you're just wasting your money, because you have an open case with us and it's pending. So you are entitled to finish out that case. And in some cases, the processing can take a while. So we, again, encourage people to apply as soon as they can, so they can get that process started and completed, so they can get to their program. But just follow the instructions that you're given if there's a missing document or administrative processing is needed. Okay, next one. Yes, as we said, there's a lot of interest in how to get a visa. We understand there's a lot of people out there that are charging people money and trying to advise them, here's what you need to do to get a visa. I can guarantee you, you don't have to pay me all of this money until you get it. That's up to you. You can make your own decisions, but these are not endorsed by the U.S. government or the U.S. Embassy. It is possible for you to do this entire process by yourself. There's no requirement to pay anybody. They don't have any access. Their claims are not true if they're saying they have inside information, if they're saying they're going to guarantee your application. They are not allowed to do. We make the ultimate decision. Nobody is going to guarantee anything except for us. But there's businesses out there that are taking advantage of people. It's just something to be aware of, that people are charging money to help fill your application and coach you, give you advice. But we don't endorse any of those people, and they don't have any standing with us. Again, apply early. I keep saying it because it's a really good idea. Visas can be issued up to 120 days before your studies begin. There's no reason to wait until a few weeks before, a month before. And as I mentioned later on in the presentation, the maximum wait time right now is like a few weeks. I think from what I saw, Tel Aviv was faster than here, but we are prioritizing student and exchange visitors. Of course, you've probably heard that tourist visas have a long wait time, but that's not this category we're talking about. Those wait times, COVID delays, don't apply to student and exchange visas. And then again, as we mentioned here, if you're going as a student, you can enter the US 30 days before the start of your studies. So you don't need to worry about, oh, I can only get in the day before. No, you can get in 30 days before, and you can apply and obtain your visa 120 days before that start date on your I-20 form. Again, the I-20 form is so important. It has a lot of useful information on it that we are going to make our decisions based off of. Talking about funding, income levels, no, there's no specific income. I'm not looking for any particular job that your mom or dad has or anything like that. I'm not looking for any particular dollar or shekel amount in your savings account. It's that first year of study. It can be from a scholarship, from yourself, from a family member or friend. Couple other questions that are in my notes here. You need to have family in the US, or you need to not have family in the US. Neither of those things matter. We might ask about your relatives just to understand your connection to America and interest in America, but it's not going to go any one way or the other. If you do have family, if you don't have family there, again, just be honest. And we don't mean just close relatives. We are asking about uncles and where they live, and just sort of understanding your approach to going to the US. Another thing people might think is, oh, only the people with straight A's or the best grades are going to get visas. That's not true. We're not basing it off of your academic performance. That is going to get you into the program. Probably they're going to look at that before they admit you into the program. And then if you're renewing a visa, we might want to know how you're doing in the program to understand that you're actually going to classes, that you are a legitimate student. But we are not evaluating, you know, your suitability for this program, because that's already been done. You've been accepted. But if we ask questions about grades, it's mainly related to, are you going to school? Are you actually following your goals? Or are you going to the States for something else and just using this student thing as an excuse to go for another reason? And that we're looking to see that you know what you want to study, you're knowledgeable about the topic, and you're excited to apply it to yourself professionally. Yeah, sometimes people think that we're looking for some right answers or some magic words, but no, we're just people. We're just looking for you to be honestly interested in your program, and to talk about your life here and how you see your life there, and how this fits in to your educational plans. Okay, next slide. This is our website. It might be a little hard to read, but there's a lot of information on travel.state.gov and our U.S. Embassy website about visas. This is the correct source of information. You're seeing a lot of things out there that might not make sense. It just explains what is an F visa, what is an M visa, and then what are the rules for these types of visas. The next slide has some more links that gives you a little more information about, again, each of the individual types of visas, exchange visas, and then also when you're in the States, it's not the State Department then that's focusing quite as much on you. It's the Department of Homeland Security that manages that SEVA system that I was talking about, that students and exchange visitors have to register with. They are through your designated school official at your university or college. They're just checking in with you to make sure you're an active student, to make sure that you're progressing along in your studies. You have options after you finish your studies. You could do OPT, the practical training, while you're still on an F1 visa. There's limited ways that you might be allowed to do an internship or a work program on that visa. Again, just coordinate everything with your school official that's helping you out there. Yeah, so that those websites have a lot of useful information. And next slide, we've got a small update regarding COVID. This just came out on the 8th of November that everyone will need to show proof of vaccination before they can come to the States. This is a new policy if you're not a US citizen or a legal permanent resident. And if you are one of those things, you're not getting this visa anyway. But we will need to see proof, not we, but the airline. You don't need to bring this to your appointment. But in order to be allowed to board a plane to the US, you will need to be fully vaccinated and provide proof of that vaccination. everyone would ask if there's exemptions. So there are, of course, but they're very limited. And we just encourage people to get vaccinated. And yeah, there are means, of course, to apply for exemptions, but then that's going to slow you down and it's going to be complicated and it may not get approved. So just be aware of that vaccination requirement that now exists as of 11 days ago. So last slide, we provide our contact information for you. Keep up with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check our website. We're updating it all the time. And then there's a separate link where you need to go to apply for non-immigrant visas, which student exchange is a type of non-immigrant visa, if you're wondering. NIV, that's what that stands for. And that's the category you'd fall under. Yes, we're conducting interviews for FJ and M. Again, it's separate from tourist. So yes, those are delayed. That's not the focus of this presentation. These are student visas. And yeah, I think that covers it, but thank you so much for your attention and welcome your questions again about the process in general. And I cannot speak to specific cases. Again, because we value your privacy and only you are entitled to that information, you should contact us directly about a specific visa case. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. We have several questions, if you notice in the chat box. One question we will answer quickly about what Education USA services we provide, about proofreading for those who would like to apply to US universities. That is part of our service to help guide you with the different components of the application process, including review of essays and general application guidelines. And so we'll be happy to share with you our contact information again, so that you can contact us and we can schedule an individual consultation with you to help you with the process as you move forward. The next question is about the visa application from Talene. If my visa application was rejected and I want to apply again, what should I do differently for the next time? Or what are the things that I should change from my first interview until my second interview?
Okay, so I'm not really sure what happened with your second interview because I wasn't there, but as I mentioned, just the general advice is to explain yourself and the program and why you want to do it and how you're going to pay for it. You're always welcome to apply again. There's no reason you can't. I would say it's probably not super logical to go ahead and apply again like in a week later because not much has changed in your life, right, from 1 week to the other. So I would ask you if you think something has changed in your life that you think maybe your case is more compelling to be approved. But if it's all about the same and then maybe you might not be approved, but it's your choice. You're always welcome to apply. But we can't coach anyone on any specific things to do. Just be yourself, be honest, and be prepared for the interview.
Thank you, Tina. We have a question about family members who wish to join their father or their parent to the US. So what is the visa process for individuals who want their family members to join them while they're on their study in the US?
Yes, it's definitely possible. We see this all the time for spouses and for children under 18, I believe. It's called an F2 and a J2 visa. So if the principal, say it's mom and she wants her husband to go, she's an F1, he's an F2, the baby is an F2 as well. Both minors and adults would be F2s. and they need their own separate DS 2019 or I-20 form with their name on it and with the student's name on it. So you would just make that clear with your designated school official when you're applying and everything, and then that school official is going to provide the correct form to you for all your family members. Each one must have their own. So yes, it's definitely possible. Happens all the time. We welcome that for a whole family to come and get that cultural experience of living in the US with you. So that's definitely possible.
We have a question from someone from Gaza, and they have an issue with traveling to either Tel Aviv or Jerusalem to conduct the interview. Is there a way to conduct the interview in Gaza?
Yeah, it's a great question. At this time, no. I wish there was a way to do visa interviews remotely, but currently right now there is not. We would need to see you in person. We have been interviewing Gazan applicants here in Jerusalem. I would say, you know, apply for that permit if you have any issues getting it. I believe you can. Usually having a proof of a visa appointment will help you get that permit, but it's not our decision who gets a permit. All we can do is provide, you know, this documentation and say, hey, yes, this person does have an appointment. They have a legitimate reason to come to Jerusalem, but we cannot make that permit happen ourselves. But I don't know if my colleagues on the call, if you have any tips for helping folks from Gaza get a permit. I know like everyone tends to come together. It's a very long, involved process, but we definitely support if you can come and would like to see you for an interview, but it's out of our control, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Hala has a question about maintaining her visa status while in the US. Do I need to come back to my home country and renew it?
Yes, so I think there's two questions here. So visa status. So your visa is going to have a SEVIS number, as we mentioned, the system that tracks the students. And that SEVIS number is only going to be valid while you're enrolled in that program and you're taking classes. If for whatever reason you drop all your classes, and that visa will have dates on it that are still, in the future. But if you're not taking classes anymore, then that you're not in valid status anymore as a student. So that's something that, again, is in your control. You need to stay in touch with your school advisors, make sure you have the correct course load, that you're staying in status as a student. The other piece of that is if your visa expires, or if you say you're still in status, you're still going to school, maintaining grades, all of that, but maybe your visa is expiring before your program's over, which often happens here because, say, someone is doing a bachelor's typical standard 4-year program. Maybe if they're a Palestinian passport holder, their visa is only good for 3 years, potentially. For Jordanians, I believe it's 5, so they might not have that issue, but it just depends for whatever reason. So yes, 3 years, not enough for the 4-year program. You would need to come back and renew that. You cannot get a visa within the US, just according to our laws and policies. It's not possible to obtain a visa in America. So you would need to renew that. Potentially, you could do an interview waiver to renew that. That's explained on our website. If you meet certain categories and criteria, so you could try mailing it in and not having to come here. There is a possibility that you might be called in for an interview. It's nothing bad. It's nothing against you. Maybe there was some technical issue and we need to actually see you, but you won't have a problem getting an appointment because this is our high priority for non-immigrant visas over the regular tourist visas. So we will be able to give you an appointment right away if you can't renew by interview waiver. And interview waiver is only possible if you get the visa here. If for whatever reason you got the visa in Oman or something, you can't renew it here with us. So you can only do interview waiver in the country and the post where the visa office where you obtained the first one.
Thank you, Tina. There's one question about receiving acceptance from a college before applying for a visa. And can I get a permanent visa to study and live in America, or does that fall under an immigration visa?
Yes, I think the questioner knows the answer to their question. Yeah, anything you're talking about permanent, that's immigrating. You're going to live there, right? So by definition, non-immigrant visa means you're not immigrating, means you're going for a temporary purpose and you're going to come back to your home. So yes, visas for students and exchange visitors are temporary and not permanent. Regarding acceptance, yes, you need to get accepted before you get the I-20 and that DS or the DS 2019. So yes, I think the steps to study, the acceptance is coming before this process. So.
Yes, it does. Another question is, if I have a Jordanian passport, do I need to go to the U.S. Jordanian embassy? To the U.S. embassy in Jordan, excuse me.
Good question. No, you don't have to. I would say it's more dependent on where do you live. If it's easier for you to go there, if you're spending a lot of time over there, great. Go apply in Amman. But we understand the situation here. There's plenty of people who are holding Jordanian passports that have never lived there, maybe, or they might live somewhere else. That's totally fine. We prefer to interview people who are somewhat local to us. Like, we want to interview West Bank and Gaza residents, because then we understand their situation where they live a little bit better versus maybe someone has a Palestinian passport and is living in another country and then comes here. It's a little harder for us to understand their connection to this place. So I would say priorities where you're living most of the time. But we will interview any passport holders who live in our district. As you mentioned, I was in Kuwait. So Kuwait, of course, there's many passport holders, whether Indian, Pakistani, Egyptian, Palestinian. We interviewed them all because they were all residing there in Kuwait. So.
Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you. And thank you for everyone who submitted their questions for us today. We're almost ready to wrap up. We would like to share with you, or Marwa would like to share with you, some upcoming events that we would love for you to join us and interact with our alumni and panelists that will continue to share their experience studying in the US. So Marwa, you want to share those slides with us, please?
Yes, thank you so much, Sana. If you can go to the next slide. So we will have a session on this Sunday, November 21st, with 5 amazing guest speakers. Palestinian students who are either pursuing their doctorate degrees in the United States or have finished their graduate study. And so they will be speaking about their experiences. And then on Monday, we will have a session specifically for high school students about the Education USA Academy and Education USA Academy Connects programs. And you will have a chance to also meet Palestinian students who travel to the United States, or those who participated in the virtual program as well. And we will also have another visa session next Tuesday with a visa officer. And we will our final session will be on November 29th with also with amazing 2 guest speakers from different colleges from the United States, and they will talk about beginning your process at your academic degree, your academic journey at a community college, and then transferring to a university or college to complete your bachelor's degree. So please make sure to join us in our upcoming sessions. And thank you to those of you who joined today's session. Have a great evening. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.